Let's talk about Jocelyn Burnell, the astrophysicist who discovered pulsars, but her contributions were overlooked at the time of Nobel Prize considerations. She discovered radio pulsars in the year 1967, which changed our understanding of universe. Despite her pivotal role in the discovery of these radio pulsars, her contributions were overlooked, and her mentor and supervisor, Anthony Hewish, received Nobel Prize in 1974 for this discovery. She was largely overlooked for this prestigious honor, but this has been a significant controversy in the history of science. Despite the initial overlook from the Nobel Committee, Burnell has moved on and went on to bigger and better things in astrophysics, astronomy, and academia. And she also remains a major and powerful advocate for women's contribution in science. She also uses her platform to promote gender equity, and she encourages young women to pursue careers in STEM. This time, we are going to talk about another beauty with brain, Hady Lamar. Lamarr is a famous Hollywood actor and inventor who was involved in co-developing frequency hopping spread spectrum technology, which later became the foundation for everything that the world is right now. That is basically the Wi-Fi, the GPS, and Bluetooth. Can you imagine a world without GPS? I can't. I'll get stranded in like seconds. Lamar's inventive side emerged when she heard about the difficulties the US military was facing with their radio-controlled torpedoes, which were prone to jamming, which made them highly unreliable. So, what did she do? She, who had a keen interest in inventing and science, collaborated with an avant-garde composer and engineer, George Antheil, and developed a secure communication system for military. Unfortunately, her career as a huge Hollywood star kind of overshadowed her creative genius, and her talents as a scientist went unrecognized for decades. Her story continued to empower a lot of women, especially young women, to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM. The Hady Lamar Foundation is established to promote women in technology and encourage an education in STEM fields. So, there's a happy ending for that story. Let's talk about Esther Lederberg. Lederberg is a name that we all microbiology and biotech students know. She is a pioneer in microbiology and genetics. So, her works in the discovery of lambda phage is largely overshadowed by, surprise, surprise, her famous husband, Joshua Lederberg. If you don't know what a lambda phage is a type of virus that can infect a bacteria. So, it is a bacteriophage. So, bacteriophage is an important tool in molecular biology and genetic engineering, which helps us to control gene regulation, gene manipulation, genetic recombination, and all those stuff. So this was the beginning of all those genetic engineering stories. Esther went on and collaborated with her husband Joshua Lederberg on his work in genetic recombination in bacteria. When he won the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1958 for this work, her contribution was largely overlooked, without which his work wouldn't have been possible. Esther remained as a supporting role or a supporting collaborator in his work, which largely showed the gender bias which was typical at that time. So women's work were often downplayed or completely ignored in that time in science. So history of science isn't fun. This time, let's talk about Jeanne Villepreux-Power. I know for a fact that I am butchering her name. Sorry for that. The marine biologist who developed closed aquarium systems for the first time. Before her contribution in creating the modern aquarium, most of the marine biology studies were conducted in open tanks, which made it impossible to observe their behavior. Her new creation allowed organisms to stay in a more stable and controlled environment, which helped the marine biologists to record their behavior quite easily. And her work was mostly involved in the reproductive behavior of squids and cuttlefish. Despite publishing her work in multiple journals and gaining respect of some naturalists at the time, her work was mostly overlooked and dismissed and ignored by her peers. The credit for her invention, the closed aquarium system, was often attributed to others who worked with her. This was also another example for gender disparity and discrimination against women at the time. This time, let's talk about Sophia Hayden, the trailblazer architect who designed women's building in 1893, World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, the project that showcased women's contribution to society and arts. Well, my engineering and architect friends, if you know about her, comment in the comment section. Despite having an architecture degree from MIT in 1890, she still faced gender-based discrimination, less recognition, and low pay. So, if this is true for you till today, please come and comment.